6:30, and we will call this meeting to order. And let's rise and pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get into the order of business, I'd just like to ask your indulgence tonight. We're playing short-staffed. Susan is out of town. We have lost our other clerk. Now we've replaced her, but a new person doesn't start until April 1st. We're missing two supervisors tonight that are out of town, and so we're doing multiple things at once, and we may or may not do them well, or at least speaking for myself. So bear with me. And I found the first mistake that I made, and I'll correct it when we get there. So verification of notice, the meeting was properly noticed. Now, we're open to public comment for any item which is not on the agenda for discussion tonight. So is there any public comment for anything which is not on our agenda for tonight? Okay. Approval of minutes, and the first one is February 13th, not my typo, the 16th. We are looking to review and approve the minutes of the February 13th Town Board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 13th Town Board meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And then we'll go to the minutes of the February 20th Town Board meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes for the February 20th Town Board meeting.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that gets us to the special Town Board meeting on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the special Town Board meeting on March 5th, 2024.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, carried. Move into reports. Police Chief report. Jerry?
Good evening.
Aye.
All is going well. Officer Klemke that started last month, end of last month, is doing great. He's putting in probably about 3 shifts a week, getting out there. At the last meeting, I had mentioned, we had talked about the speeding on our highways. Just some stats from since our last meeting, February 20th. We have written 19 citations, and again, we're not a full-time agency, we're part-time, so we're not out there a lot, but try to get out there as much as we can. But 19 citations since February 20th. 2 of the highest speeders that we had gotten were on Highway 12, being 89 and 84, were the 2 highest. The average speed is low 70s. But besides speed, we've also gotten, Joey got an OWI that came from a vehicle that crossed the center line at him, and he had to brake and take the shoulder, so he wasn't hit head on. So OWI, non-registration motor vehicles, operating after revocation, seatbelt violations, operating without insurance, and passing in no passing zone. But the majority are speeding and high speeds at that. So, and not only, I guess people just started getting it because not only are we out there on a part-time basis, but State Patrol and the Sheriff's Office also are on Highway 12 and Highway 18 somewhat. So, but it's not slowing them down.
You want to talk about the training for the boat patrol officers?
Yeah, I don't have the exact date, but next month, Armando and James will be going to Stevens Point for a 1-day mandatory boating course. They haven't held it since COVID, but they're holding it again this year, so which is mandatory. at least one person has to attend, no more than two, just because space is limited, since it's a statewide boating course. So. Otherwise, that's all I have.
Any questions for Gary?
Did you see the accident or get down to the accident that was on Ripley Road?
I did not.
You guys didn't get to that?
No.
It's too late.
Yeah, we did not.
Are there any problems on Park Road with the utilities going in now?
As of right, as in yet, no. We haven't received any.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Gary. Move on to Public Works report. Jeff?
Evening. Give you an update on our new employee. Started March 4th. Slowly getting into the groove on what we do here compared to what a city does. But I believe we made a really good choice on this one. Sounds like Thursday night into Friday, or we might be throwing him into the first snowplow time. But 27 years of snow removal, he should pick it up pretty good. His hardest part is trying to remember all our roads and where we end and a different municipality takes over. But I feel confident on this one, so that's good.
Good.
We did started the inventory on them culverts for the state. Worked on that today. Out of all of them, we got one. Yeah, we got one that meets the criteria on the size. So we did get a good opportunity to see some of our bigger culverts and get a good inspection of them. And there are some ugly ones out there.
Let me just, for those attending the meeting, the state passed a law requiring the towns and villages to inventory all culverts and bridges. And they offered to pay us $100 per culvert that we inspect or that we inventory. We could have either done it ourselves or hired a consulting firm to do it, and they would get the $100. We looked at it and said, this is something that Jeff and Tim can do. Jeff took required training course from the state for that, and we're now doing it. The purpose was to identify culverts that were failing, and it grows out of an accident in one of the more rural counties where fertilizer truck crashed through where the culvert failed, and fortunately did not discharge the fertilizer into the trout stream that was underneath the culvert. That kind of created an idea that the state said maybe we ought to inspect these and ask the towns and villages to take that part of it. So we did. We had to decide that we would do it ourselves before April, and then we have till like the end of next year, or the end of this year, I think, to complete the process.
Yep.
We do have one culvert that we're not sure what it is, we think, but we'll find out.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to fall underneath the bridge category.
okay. So that, just so you understand what Jeff's talking about.
Park Road update. Have a construction meeting with the main engineer and Nathan and the higher up from Payne and Dolan that will be doing the project. That is 9 o'clock Thursday morning, virtual. So we'll get an update on how things are moving and when start dates could be, happening now that we're getting closer. So
I did get response from Jewel Engineering on all of the easements, and they say they've got them all ready for contract. We just need to pay them for it. And that will then, once we do that, they're hoping to do the tree trimming then next week, assuming I can get them a check fairly soon. then they'll start, particularly those properties doing tree trimming. So it's moving along, and I think we'll learn more Thursday.
Yes, and so far everything's been real smooth with this project, and hopefully once the dirt starts moving, it's just as smooth and quick. All depends on the weather. If we get a lot of rain, it's going to get delayed and a mess. So.
Okay. Anything for Jeff?
The Alliant is doing the utility,
Yeah, they're
Re-
reburying the natural gas.
right? That's a kind of a mess too.
Yes, it is. And they generally like to update their underground utilities when a big project's going to happen, because then they don't have to worry about restoring what's when it's done, because it'll just be part of our project and it just turns over.
Is that going to affect the tree trimming then? Because they definitely won't be done next week.
I don't know, because I don't know where Alliance is going to be at that point. Most of these are,
Probably on the other side.
yeah, these are on the other side of the outlet going up towards Blue Jay Way.
Yep.
All of them that I looked at were in that, Melitor and some of those streets that, most of those were all right there. There wasn't anything down in your neighborhood that I remember off the list. So,
No, we don't have any trees that I don't think would be.
one, I don't think we have any easements that we're taking, using.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'd have to look at the list, I don't. Okay,
And that's everything.
okay. good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay. Fire chief report, Joe Evans.
Hello.
Hi.
So last meeting I was here giving an update on our truck report. Tender 6 went in for DOT inspection, failed the DOT inspection because the frames are bad. So we had to take that truck out of service. So we do not have a tender in the fire station right now that's in service. A tender is our truck that hauls our water for rural fires, our fires, that doesn't have a hydrant. So I have done some research on chassis replacement and frame rail replacement. I didn't give you the frame rail replacement, or did you get that in the email that I sent?
No,
Maybe.
you said that they were all attached. I looked all through that, and
Okay.
I didn't, so when you get a chance, if you would
Okay,
just
well,
send it to
I
me.
could give you that number. It was $48,000 and some, just say $48,600 to put new frames on that truck. Remind you, that truck's a 2000. So the truck's 24 years old already. That truck is due to be replaced in 2 years. I went online, I handed out the proposal for a new chassis from Osco Tank and Truck Sales. They're south of Davenport, Iowa, is where this company's from. There's another company that I asked for a quote. I have not received that yet. I received a quote for a chassis out of Madison International, and if you look at the very back page, it shows prices of five different chassis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different chassis. And if you look at where it says chassis ETA, that means estimated time of arrival, because these chassis have to be built. You start at the bottom, the 2 Peterbilts. Peterbilts are more expensive because they're more readily available, and they can charge more because if people want to pay that, they'll get. And you look at the date is August the 24 on both of those trucks, but then you're paying for the availability of that truck. The next one up is the Peterbilt. It's got an L9 450 motor in it. That's not a big enough motor for our tender, because right now it's a 3,600 gallons of water we haul in there, which equates out to about 30,000 pounds. So I've been talking to a lot of people, and that have these L9s, and it's too underpowered. So if you look at the next one would be the Freightliner, or no, I'm sorry, the International, the HX620. That estimated delivery on that truck is April of 2025 for that much money. So I called International in Madison, got a quote on the chassis. If they could get one quicker, they can, but that price tag came in at, just for the chassis, $192,000. So then went to the Freightliner, the 2025 Freightliner with a 500 horse with the 1,700 foot-pounds of torque, where is the power of the truck. Comes in, and I should back up, these prices that you see here is a truck with the tank, our tank put back on that truck.
So that includes putting our tank on?
That is correct.
Okay.
And right off the bat, we're saving $200,000 by using our tank on a new chassis. And that's the reason when we bought that truck back in 2000, it's a poly tank and it's a lifetime warranty on that tank. Where when this comes along like we are now, you take that thing off, set it on a new one, they'll put brand new lights, bring it all up to NFPA standards, all new lights, the paint, basically $257,600 for a brand new truck that will last approximately out, and I figured 2049 or a little further out, because that's 20 to 25 years. So with that price of money right there, for that money, is that we have, on the fire department, remember I told you we put $50,000 in that CD for truck fund. That money could be put towards this truck. The chassis that's, the Peterbilt chassis that we have right now with the bad frame is worth money. The guy down there, this Osseo, said that he would give us $20,000 for it, just over the phone. I got a phone call from a local person in town and heard that that our truck was out of service. And I don't know if I stepped out of line, but I shot him a price of $30,000 to $35,000, and he goes, "Well, let me get back to you." So with that said, and I don't know if I stepped out of line, if that truck that chassis would have to go out for bids, because it's owned by municipalities, or to try to get as much money as we can for that chassis. So the bottom line is that even if we got $20,000 for the chassis, the whole price of the truck would be $187,000, $187,600 on a truck that would be good for 20 to 25 more years.
But you add the 48,600 onto that? No, that includes everything.
The
The
Say
new
that again.
frame on the truck?
No. The frame is if you took the Peterbilt right now and just put new frame rails on it, and
That's it.
that's it.
I get it. Okay.
And that doesn't include the $8,000 we have to put on there for tires, because that's due also because of the NFPA standard that we have to replace tires every 7 years. That's not what we do in the fire department. That's an NFPA standard. And talking to our mechanics that work on it, I mean, that's just we got wiring problems with lights, so there's little bitty things that are starting to potentially, or will nickel and dime us on that truck now.
Did you actually look at this frame?
Yes, we had a person, and we actually took it to Truck Star at Deerfield that does restorations on trucks, and they said that truck shouldn't even be being driven down the road.
What do you see is wrong with the frame? I mean, is it
It's
rust
rust
and corrosion,
jacking.
or is there
Yes.
cracks, or what?
It's rust jacking. So where the duals mount to the frame,
Right.
in between there, and this is a double frame truck, is another bad thing, come to find out, is that the rust is just, it flakes off.
So I got a few questions. I know a little bit about metal,
Yep.
steel.
Yep,
So the truck is 20-some years old,
24, yep.
24 years old. Throughout its life, aren't there maintenance type things that you can do to that frame to protect that steel from corroding more and more? Or is this something that just kind of got left until now, and then all of a sudden, oopsie doopsie, here we go, we got a big problem?
Yes, yes and no. I mean, that frame is hard to get at. It's not like you could pull the hood over and expose the whole frame like a semi, where the whole frame is exposed. This is actually underneath the tank itself, so the frame is hidden from us. So, I know what you're asking, and
Yeah, I mean, is there preventative maintenance to the frame that could be sandblasted and painted, like in the 10-year frame? You know, so we don't run into these kind of things, you know, all of a sudden, you know. all of a
oh, you
sudden we
mean
got-
like if we went with a new chassis, or
Well, I'm referring to what happened with the old.
that I think it's the technology they use now on the frames. Like our Squad 5 right now, when we ordered that truck, and the reason we went with the Marion is I was on that truck committee, that was a galvanized frame. So Pierce is our engine one. We heard that the older Pierces have bad frames just because of how they prep the frame. So
So it's a walking frame. So in a walking frame, so when the truck is turning, the frame is walking. So when the double frame, rust gets in between the two frames, it's walking. There's no way to get in there to wash that or keep it clean. It's those two frames working against each other. There's really no way to get in there.
yeah.
So that's been a problem with the house. So that's the issue.
And the new chassis now, they don't double frame anymore.
So the good news in this is that the tank that we have can be mounted to one of these, so.
That is correct.
Because Jefferson spent $500,000 for a new one.
That is correct.
And we're gonna, if we do this, we're in essence gonna end up with a 20-year truck.
If not longer.
And so I'm just momentarily confused, Joe. Which is your preferenced one? Is it the 2025 Freightliner?
Yep, so it's the
Right.
second one on there. So
Okay.
if you wanted to circle that, that's the one. So estimated delivery on that chassis is December. I mean,
Now, that's when they get it, and then they have to mount the tank and all of that stuff.
yes, and
right?
that's like a 4-month build time down there. So
So what are we doing in the meantime?
right now I have all the surrounding departments around us on our when we get paged out for a structure fire, that they're paged out like they're part of our department. So I've talked to Chief Wagner, I've talked to Chief Russ, I've talked to Chief Rip, talked to Deerfield. So we're covered. I mean, but right now with engine 1, we have 1,000 gallons of water on that truck. Engine 2 that's sitting in the station right now, we have 2,000 gallons of water. So what I have instructed the membership is when we do get a structure fire, obviously our engine 1 is the first truck out of the station. Typically with a tender in the station, tender 6 would roll, but now it's going to be engine 2 that's going to roll. So we got 3,000 gallons of water going to the scene, and these other departments are going to be coming without, me doing it, or who was ever command doing a special request for additional water to be coming. I did talk to Chief Wagner. They have a truck over there that's just going to go on the market. They're asking, I think, what did he say, $98,000 or something like that. And that's a 2001 2,000 gallon tender. I was talking to Terry last night, and it's like, well, what if we took that $50,000 and say, hey, would you take $50,000 for it? And we'd have a 2,000 gallons, but then I don't know if that would be the correct answer too.
Okay, well, we've got to see if we can get some movement going on this.
And just one more thing, just to let you know, I've already talked to Cambridge and Rockdale, because the meetings lined up, and now you guys is that they have approved to move forward with a chassis. So when it comes to the commission part of it, and they meet, they told me that they would move forward.
Okay. We don't have this listed as an action item
Okay.
tonight, so
That's fine.
we'll take it as information, and then we'll see what we can do.
And
in
if I
a
get any,
subsequent meeting.
other information on any other chassis or another builder, obviously, I'll bring that forth, but I guess when Sheila's not here for being part of the commission is, how would the resale of that chassis be? Because it's, somebody would buy it and then they would take and spend the $48,000 and do whatever they want with it, and because they don't necessarily need it as a fire truck. So,
Okay,
that's all I have.
good, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
This is very helpful. Appreciate that, Joe. Excuse me, Fire Commission report, we don't have anything at this moment. Sheila is out of town with a family situation, and so I don't have anything to add to that at this point, so. Okay, which brings us to number 9, appoint an alternate representative for the Fire Commission. Suggestion was made that, because we don't know exactly how long Sheila's going to be gone, that, as the board appoints someone, we could appoint someone to be an alternate if she's not available to attend a meeting. I think that's probably a good idea. I did talk with the attorney today, and he said that probably was something that we should do, so that we don't, or so that we're not represented at a fire commission meeting if one comes. So,
Yeah, somebody needs to be there, that's for sure.
yeah, so, any one of the three of us could do it.
I think you could leave it as whoever's available almost. I mean, if you're available to go, go. If you're not, then call one of us. I mean,
I think we would have to have it as a motion and an approved that said this is our alternate if Sheila's not available. I think that's probably more correct and proper and would be recognized. So, like I say, I'm open. Joy knows a bit about fire over the years. And Jimmy obviously knows something about mechanics and metal. So,
I got plenty going on. I don't need to. You want to go or you want to go?
Do you want to go?
yes and no. I've got more than enough right now.
So they would know to contact the alternate for any meeting.
Or we would, because we should get the notice here anyway, and then we would just take our little motion and second and that it was approved, and take that to the fire commission and say, I'm here to represent the town of Oakland. So,
I would be willing to be an alternate
okay.
I'll
as
make the
needed.
motion.
Well, yeah, and I'll second that.
I'll make the motion that Joey will be your alternate.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Joy, thank you very much. Okay, item 10, revision to and updates to the employee handbook. And we worked through some of these issues before and came up with this language, and we now need to approve the language for addition to the employee handbook.
Yeah, I
So-
think the changes in language worked well that we suggested last month.
Yeah, I think these are much clearer.
I think
so.
then, once this is passed, then we're gonna sit down and decide what these timelines are and who and when
Yep.
would receive a stipend. I mean, because
Yep.
you can't just let it be ongoing kind of forever. It needs to have an end date, I think,
Yep.
if we're gonna do it for these reasons.
Yep.
So saying all that, I would make a motion to approve the revisions to the handbook then.
I'll second it.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded
Are we
Oh.
talking about both
Yes,
revisions then?
yes.
The vacation one, too?
Yeah, everything on the document.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay. We are to the discussion and possible action on ordinance 23-02. If you remember, we drafted this last summer. We held public hearings late summer, had 70 some odd people, I think, in attendance, and worked through some issues there, determined that the major concern had to do with section 2.5, wake enhancement prohibitions, and we did some work on that and had some discussions and got some information from the Lake Management District, which we then said this looks like a good opportunity to address that issue. So we've put that language into the ordinance and are looking to have consideration to that this evening. So, is there anyone here who would like to address this issue tonight?
Assuming it's gonna be posted at the vote lunch?
Yes, part of our reason for getting it done now is we need to redo, we have to do a brand-new sign down at the boat launch. Yeah, thanks, Brad. Due to some issues Brad raised with us, so that's why we're trying to get this done tonight so that we can do that. So, any?
Did you explain the issue on both sides, like what you discussed?
Let me get you Doug behind you, and then I'll go ahead.
I guess I would just remind, since it's been 7 months, I would remind the board that that was a standing room only meeting. It was probably 10 to 15 times the amount of people that were here tonight. And it was easily a 15-to-1 ratio that were in support of this. So I would hope that the board would take that into consideration and vote for the will of the people.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. You,
Just, can you explain the issues on both sides?
can I explain the issues on both sides? Not entirely, but I'll do my best, okay? The issue has been that whether or not wake boats are an appropriate operation on Lake Ripley. And there has been a bunch of discussion. Doug, you're right, we had 75 people at the public hearing because we were 2 under our occupancy that night. So there's a lot of feeling that boats that are being sold today have all of these ballast tanks, these mechanical things, and can make these very large wakes. And there are people who are very unhappy with that. They feel it interferes with other operations. It's a safety. There's issues of the Lake Management District hosted an informational meeting back in, help me, Leanna, when was it? I don't.
Yep.
October. Brought in speakers from a couple of different agencies who gave us some more information. We've had some local information. So that's kind of the crux is, do we say it's a permitted operation or it's not, is what it comes down to. If
What did the state recommend?
the state says, hey, Town of Oakland, it's your problem. They have yet to draft formal legislation. There's been some help with some of the things from DNR, but state is not anywhere close, as I understand it, to making a decision whether this is an appropriate thing. And I don't know that they've even gotten close to saying what size lake or what depth or any of those things. And that's kind of a disappointment. It would have been very nice if, you know, the state has a lot of resources. If they could have at least said, you know, guys, we look at it and say, gee, if a lake is under this many square feet or this many acres, doesn't have this much depth, you know, you might want to rethink and not, or you know, that would be okay. You know, we've been, like I say,
Did they recommend 200 feet or 200 feet from shore and 20 feet deep?
I don't recall that, seeing that. So, but
That was the last recommendation.
okay. So we're kind of at the point where I think we need to make a decision at this point. So, any other comments? Okay.
I'll make a motion then.
So the DNR.
I will make a motion then. Unless
Okay.
you want to take questions?
So the DNR, we know more than the DNR?
In some respects, yes and no. Okay. We know what is going on our lake, and we know how things are being used and what some of the impacts on our lake are. And so I think that's something, yes, the DNR has some knowledge on that, but like I say, I would have liked a little more help, but I also understand.
Why are we voting on it so quick?
We're not voting on it so quick. We've been working on this over a year.
But if the DNR can't decide, how can small township decide?
The ordinance,
Department of Natural Resources.
Right, but the ordinance regulation and ordinance passage is up to the town. It's not up
plus
to
it
the
has
DNR.
been vetted by the, had to
And,
be,
yeah, DNR has vetted what was recommended for the language. They have approved that language.
Did we see a letter, or maybe was that posted anywhere?
I don't know. That was done through the Lake Management District. Leanna, do you?
The approval was given to me in an email, and that's how it works.
Okay.
DNR asks for that, and that's how it was done.
Okay. Jimmy, you moved?
I'll move to
Adoption
make a
ordinance.
motion. I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 2023-02.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. The ordinance will be published and will go into effect after publication. All right. Announcements. Any announcements of anything? Correspondence, you have court dockets in front of you. We were supposed to try and have a meeting with Matthew, or Michael tonight, and because of being, we would like to see if we can do something next Tuesday,
Next Tuesday?
4:30.
Let's see what we got going here.
I'm sorry, Todd, is this for item 14?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think so.
Okay.
What's the date?
The 14th.
14th?
Or
No,
yeah.
no.
No.
What am I?
You're talking next week?
Next week. I'm sorry.
26?
26th.
A week from
26th.
today?
26. Yes. I'm
26.
sorry. 3:26. Maybe about 4:30.
At 4:30, okay.
Yeah. And that is, you should have gotten in your box a thing of terms and stuff that Michael sent. We want to go through that and look at that, because that's going to lead on to the next step. So, consensus that we're available? Okay. And our next meeting date is April 16th, 2024. That is our annual electors meeting, and that meeting will start at 6:30, and the town board will meet following the electors meeting. Would accept a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say